Sick, dude. I love that. Ideas fucking rule. I'm a big fan of ideas. It's like I feel like my life is full of ideas. Not all of those ideas come to fruition, unfortunately. But
the thing is too. Most of those ideas are bad.
Oh, that is true.
So it's a good thing most of them don't come to fruition. Because, I mean, even if you're fucking brilliant, I'd say even Nikola Tesla, he was batting 1 for 10 for good ideas. You know. He had some dumb fucking ideas. And then you look at the founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, and he's batting
0
1 for 20,000. He had 2 good ideas, and somehow he's the richest man in the world.
I hate to see that.
You know, I hate to see so much. He's a product of all of the institutions that have brought him to fruition. He is the son of apartheid allowing slave labor diamond mine owners from South Africa. And people talk about him like he's a self-made man when he is the heir to a giant diamond mine.
I thought it was an emerald mine.
Sorry? Oh,
I think it's an emerald mine.
Oh yeah. Well, sorry. Yes. A precious rocks mine in South Africa that relies on underpaid and slave labor to sell incredibly overpriced, oddly highly in demand objects, which he...
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a whole thing.
He learned a thing or two of that business model of, creating a scarcity for something. It's something
Oh, it's something. I feel like having bad ideas though is part of the joy of having ideas in general, because you have good ideas and that feels very good for in a certain way. But bad ideas are also fun in another kind of way.
I do love bad ideas, and that's actually kind of what I post on our Twitter is I'll just get really high and I'll just post all of my bad ideas.
I noticed that. I read through them today, and I like them all a lot. I think that you should keep doing that.
Can I read a couple to you?
Oh, please.
All right. I know you're a fan of The Cure. So here's one about The Cure. You're not in love on Friday. You're just in love with a capitalist typical work week.
Oof.
Oof.
They say boys don't cry, but that's got me.
No, boys should
weeping.
Cry. Boys should. Everyone should cry.
Sure. I can't remember the last time I cried.
Yeah. Steve Vai is just gentrified Buckethead.
I wrote that.
Oh, you did?
I did.
You did. Really? I just read that from the thing and I'm yeah, that seems like something I would write in this big block of book. You actually did write that.
I did.
Are you sure? Yeah. I feel like I've had that thought.
That was this afternoon, yeah.
Wow. Oh, you like Bruno Mars? Name all the other planets in the Bruno system.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot.
So I got a list of people I don't hear discussed enough. Is obvious sex symbols.
Oh, first, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got the guy who starred in Quantum Leap.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
I forget his name, but then you also have Captain Archer from Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah. Silver Fox, that one.
Yeah. And then the fucking actor Scott Bakula.
Oh,
those three
totally.
Guys, those 3 guys are so hot.
Yeah, love
3
them.
Hottest dudes.
Huge fan.
Hottest dudes.
Of all of those different men.
I swear to God. Are you sure? Are you sure that was your tweet?
Yeah, I am sure.
I swear to God I've had that thought.
That's amazing because that was... So what happened was I saw a meme on Instagram about the about the like monkey paw cutout on the Steve Vai signature guitars, the gems, the Ibanez gems. If you're not familiar,
God, I hate them.
Famous guitar player Steve Vai has a signature guitar that has a cutout in it so that it's like a handle, basically.
Yeah, so you can just like grab the guitar like in the middle and like do whatever. The thing is, like, I've seen Steve Vai in concert like play that guitar, and he literally does nothing with the actual construction of the guitar.
Yeah, it's purely aesthetic.
Puts his hand in like the handle and like grabs his guitar and holds it up. It's super weird because I'm like,
yeah. It's like that's your whole thing, dude. What are you doing?
He didn't.
Yeah.
He just didn't. Like, maybe it's just a weird cock tease that he does where he's like, he like puts his hand towards the handle. He's like, no, I'm just going to play fucking clean leads again instead. Like,
yeah, you literally hate to fucking see that. Like, what a pussy. Steve Vai, get it the fuck together. Grab your guitar by the handle, shake it around. You invented that.
No.
Presumably.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
Steve Vai,
actually, you know what? I'm gonna take a hard stance right here. You know, like, instrumental metal in general is kind of for pussies. You
are aware of what we are doing.
I want you to name me. I mean, Buckethead does all types of stuff, but I want you to name me an instrumental metal artist you would be afraid to fight.
That's a tough call. I'm thinking about it right now. Yeah, because I mean, okay, so I feel like instrumental music reflects like an appreciation for the art form beyond that of normal or typical people. You know what I mean? In most circumstances, like by the people who make it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, as a musician, if you choose to make instrumental music, that is a very clear artistic decision, always.
Right.
You know what I mean? And typically what that means is that, like, hey, you like the music more than you like people sounding like people on it. And that's cool. I was of that mind for a very long time. So I understand. But it is an interesting... I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, and there's folks like, you know, like Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. Great instrumental guitarist. And like, he's pretty buff, but I could fuck his face up easy. I'm not afraid of that guy for a fucking second.
Have you seen like their other guitar player, the other guitar player in Animals as Leaders? Because that dude is like
had a couple
big. No, it's just one dude. It's always been one dude. It's like, he's like a big Mexican dude, or I could be wrong, but he's like a big dude. And I don't know. Okay. He seems a little like.
Well, I'm gonna check.
I think he could kick my ass.
No, it's Matt Halpern.
No, that's not the guy I'm talking about. I guess they have had two guys.
No, that's a drummer. No, wait. Oh no, okay, sorry. Matt. Wait, no. Javier Reyes.
That's the guy. About. Yeah. He's a big dude.
Oh no, he's just kind of fat. No, he's definitely not big. Dude. He's like shorter than Tosin. Like I don't know.
Yeah, he's short, but dude, like he looks strong, man. Like I wouldn't want to get in a fight with that guy.
Are you afraid of like Be Real from Cypress Hill? Like, are you afraid of like stocky Mexican guys?
Cypress Hill, man. Like he's too high. The fact
that they're stocky Mexicans, like. I mean, he's not...
I feel like a stocky Mexican could kick the shit out of me. I'll be honest. I'm a scrappy dude,
it depends,
but still.
Though, and it's like, I feel like the kind of stocky Mexican who plays instrumental metal for a living is going to be maybe like an even match because like both of you are probably just going to end up talking about like Al Di Meola at some point and just not fight.
Well, I mean, that's just like a forever guitar player thing. Like, you bring up Al Di Meola at a party with a bunch of guitar players, like, everyone turns their heads.
I mean, that's the fucking trump card. Or, like, Paco de Luca, like, people will just be like, they will fucking straight up
Can we do a bonus episode for Tim Allen's birthday where every like transition is just us being like, like
Yeah, or we just like ask each other questions, and at the very end, instead of a question mark or like an uptone, like we just go, hey, if God, I don't have any good questions.
I got a good question.
What's that?
Hey Brit, what's the sketchiest place you've ever masturbated?
Probably in your room while you were asleep. Bum, bum,
Bam, 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 bam. Yeah.
We'll be right back. Actually, we should make that when we take like little breaks, getting it. We'll be right back.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Man, Home Improvement really was a thing, dude. Like, I remember growing up and watching a lot of that show as a kid in the 90s. And
I remember not growing up and watching it, but I remember watching it and growing much larger.
I remember growing up because I got a lot of boners watching that show.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, my penis.
Okay, good. Yeah, me too.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh, yeah. JTT, yeah, you know me.
JTTDP is what I need, baby.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about Home Improvement, but also...
Name one thing. Name one fucking thing, Spencer. There's a lot to like. Name one thing whose name isn't Wilson. Straight up. Go for it. Be my guest.
I like watching Tim Allen get hurt.
Oh, I mean, you could just like look at the news about his CBS broadcasted sitcoms in that case and watch him be canceled consistently.
No, dude, he's successful. He's still in that one show that he started like a while ago. Like the last show that he started, we were all like, that sounds terrible. But it's still on, like 10 years later.
Last Man Standing got canceled and then like reapproved for like one more season. I don't know if it's still on.
How many seasons has that fucking shit been on though? Like it has to be like, I would guess 7 or 8 seasons by this point. It's been a while.
Let's see.
Like, if that shit got canceled after like 2 seasons, like, yeah, haha. But like, I'm pretty sure it ran for a fucking long time.
Yeah, so it was ABC for seasons 1 through 6 and Fox for 7 through 9, and it's still...
9?
No, so apparently 9 just started.
Holy
it's a Fox
shit.
show. So it was an ABC show, and ABC canceled it, and Fox is like, oh no, we're responsible for the dumbest TV watchers, so they need their Tim Allen, because like we handle fucking Tim Allen, we handle Seth MacFarlane, and we just cancel everything else after 2 seasons.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Fox.
Did you see that? Did you see that thing going around where it was like a guitar that was signed by Seth MacFarlane? I think I texted that to you.
I mean, I guess that.
Imagine the power that would imbue your guitar.
He does music, so whatever. Like he's not a bad singer. I'll say that straight up. But
oh man, do we have to talk about Seth MacFarlane? Because if we're gonna talk about Seth MacFarlane, we gotta go hard.
I don't think we do.
We need to do a bonus episode purely about Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, we should maybe make a bonus episode, and you can pay for the extra time that it takes to upload and everything. But I mean, if you want to do that, I guess I'll be down. But like, I'm gonna take at least like 3 drugs before we do it. And given I take at least 2 drugs before every podcast we do,
yeah,
I'm gonna take at least 1 more if we do a Seth MacFarlane, because that's too much for me. I can't do it. I can't do the giggity. I'm broken. I'm a broken person. One thing I do like about Seth MacFarlane though is nope, I lost it. I don't think there's anything. It was a fleeting thought, and it wasn't important enough to hold on to.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, he has some nice custom fitted suits.
Nice.
Like every rich white man.
Suits? I wasn't paying attention. Then I just realized you said suits. Like, I don't give a shit about suits.
Yeah, you don't.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You know, like sometimes nice clothes are nice. I mean, I wouldn't say that like nice clothes are bad. Like I like me some nice clothes. Yeah, that's great.
Oh God, Spencer, you got to get a custom fitted suit, and that should.
That could actually be cool. I'm coming back around on this idea. It could be nice.
I never really wear my custom fitted suit, but I love having it so much. It's just so cool to have.
Sick.
I'd like to wear it more. I think I'll wear it more once I'm unemployed. Because what's cooler than being unemployed and wearing a custom suit all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's like what vampires do.
Yeah. You know, when I was growing up, I honestly, like, I really thought that raves were going to be like the Bloodrave scene in Blade.
I mean, have you been to a rave?
What?
Because some of them kind of are.
I know, but what I mean is that honestly, working in a kitchen is more like the blood rave scene in Blade than an actual rave in a lot of circumstances. Not every circumstance.
That's true. And like, I mean, in a lot of kitchens, there's more drugs and like casual sex going on, like
blood,
like. At the very same time than any rave. Like a good solid walk-in will be host to far more debauchery and crying than any rave will ever supply you.
Yes, a very real and a very good point.
No.
Just something that came up.
It's like any good walk-in refrigerator is like 12 good rave porta potties just like crammed together, except hopefully not as much human feces.
Hopefully.
Probably about
like on a good night.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you never know when you're going to have to poo in the walk-in. It's just a thing in the restaurant industry, you know.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
like
I do know.
That's just our culture, you know.
Hell yeah.
Well, anyways, hey, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Brit.
Since 2011, Buckethead has released 284 albums in his Pikes series, and we're going to listen to them.
3 at a time.
This is Getting Head, a Bucketcast.
Welcome, bots, slogs, friends, and Bucketheads. This is episode 16 of Getting Head, a Bucketcast.
Wow. Look at that. We did it.
Right?
Sweet 16 right here.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
6-6-16.
16 Psyche, a great Chelsea Wolfe song.
16 Candles, a great John Hughes film.
Truly. 18 is actually 9. A King Diamond reference. Numbers.
You should probably save that for 2 more episodes, brother, because you're really jumping the gun with these numbers here. Like,
well, you know,
I can also name numbers that aren't 16.
You hear one number, you gotta bring up other numbers. That's just life.
I don't know if that's how it works. Like,
I've been told that's how it works from people in the know.
This is Getting Digits, a numbers cast.
Yes, excellent.
Fuck you, Spencer. Fuck you.
Beautiful. Well, anyways, tell me about your life if you want to. What's up?
I don't really want to. Cause,
I know you don't.
I've been I've been officially laid off from my job.
Ugh, hate to fucking see that. That sucks, dude. Yeah, I'm feeling Billy.
I got like a week and a day left of work to tie up loose ends and stuff, and then I get to set the old email to forward to my boss and never see that place again. Which is whatever. I mean,
yeah,
as long as Washington unemployment is how it's supposed to be, like I'll be taken care of well enough for a while I get things together, while the whole world get things together. And,
well, hey, I mean, I'm glad that you have that opportunity, but still, that's a very shitty situation to be in, and fucking sucks, dude. I've been feeling that for you. Like,
it is what it
feels
is.
Really bad.
Yeah, I'll make it through, and I'll find other avenues.
Yeah,
I always do. I always, I'm like that bowling ball that no matter what gutter it falls in, it will always find another hole.
That was what? Bowling ball? Bowling balls don't go into holes, dude. Unless, I mean, I don't know.
Bowling balls go in holes, dog.
Okay.
If you believe in yourself.
If you try hard and believe in yourself, you might be able to make that happen.
If you want to be a believer, dog.
Yeah, that is true.
You gotta do what? You gotta believe.
Yeah.
If I ever get married, I want you to be DJ to my wedding. And
wow, what an honor.
Well, specifically because you're the only one who can pull this off. My entrance music, the bride or whoever I'm marrying, it's gonna have.
You got it.
But I want my entrance music to be something like, "Groom, here comes the groom. Ready or not? How do you like me now?"
Yeah, I would make that happen for you.
Yeah, that's, and then you can leave. Then I'd actually like you to leave after.
Yeah.
We'd all like
please have security escort me out afterward.
Me and Beck will applaud, but everyone else is gonna be like, no.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
so we listened to 3 Buckethead albums.
No, God damn it, Spencer.
Oh.
God damn it, Spencer.
You didn't put it in the script. Like, it's still not in the script. I'm never gonna
put it there because I'm just relying on your
the fact that I'm on the fucking spectrum, that I'm never gonna fucking remember it unless it's on the list.
This has nothing to do with the spectrum. Get out of here. Spencer, what time is it?
It's time for a bucket fact.
Bucket fact, 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 bucket fact.
In an interview published in 2008, and also independently confirmed by Axl Rose's personal assistant Elizabeth Elias, better known as Betta, a former artist representative named Tom Zutaut, who worked for Guns N' Roses during Buckethead's stint in the band, said that while recording Chinese Democracy, Buckethead at some point voiced his unhappiness and concern with having to come to the recording studio every day and play the exact same parts, especially without Axl Rose being present to guide the project. Sorry?
Interesting. Okay, yes. Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
So, Zutaut suggested to Buckethead that in order to make him more comfortable and maybe facilitate his creative process, they build a chicken coop inside the recording studio.
No.
Buckethead was very excited by this idea, and within 2 days, they built a chicken coop inside the studio.
With chickens?
No, just with a lot of his memorabilia and things that made him comfortable. But it was they had chicken wire, and it was.
Is there a picture?
No, I don't have a picture, but they set up a chicken coop inside the studio.
Okay.
According to 2 people who worked with him.
Are you sure there weren't real chickens involved?
I'm going to imagine. I believe that would be.
I mean, like, I can't imagine any engineer being like, "Yes, allow chickens in my studio," but
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they used like 14 different studios, and like they blew like $20 million on this fucking album. So
why did Buckethead have to play the same parts over and over again? That's the part that's most curious to me. Like, why, if you got it down, like, why would you need to record it again?
I mean, we can go over this more in our Chinese Democracy podcast, which we're about half done with.
Yes, we will. Yeah, of course.
But we'll address that on Chinese New Year of this year.
Indeed, yes.
And folks,
wait for that drop. It's coming.
We will drop that hot track about Chinese democracy and let you know how that is. But I'll write that as a note for something we need to talk about with Matt on the conclusion of that episode.
Hell yeah.
But we listened to 3 more Pikes.
Yeah, we did.
Pike 46, 47, and 48, Rainy Days, Roller Coaster Track Repair, and Hide in the Pickling Jar, respectively.
Yes, indeed.
Pike 46, Rainy Days.
Yeah.
Released on March 1st, 2014. The cover, kind of like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
And kind of a foggy atmosphere.
A YouTube commenter said that the cover reminded them of Super Mario 64, and I thought, yeah, sure.
I guess I could see that.
Yeah. Like, not like, yes, but like, sure.
Sure, fine.
That's most of YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, sure.
So this album, it's a clean post-rock album.
It is a mellow Buckethead album. We've been seeing a lot of those lately, honestly.
I mean, yeah, and definitely I'd say most comparable to perhaps Pike 31, Pearson Square, which is also very mellow post-rock, very somewhere between like clean guitar and acoustic parts, and also Pike 41, Wishes, which honestly... Pike 41, Wishes, and Pike 46, Rainy Days, to me, are kind of almost interchangeable. They're
very similar, yeah.
Very similar albums. Yeah. And in as much, like, you know, it's not unique. It's something I know Buckethead does. He does it well, but, you know, he just does it well. He doesn't do it, like, in a way that really excites me.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are parts of this album that I did really enjoy. I thought that Light Through Fog was a nice song, and it has a cool little guitar solo at the end that I thought was really tasteful and nice.
Yeah.
I thought that the closing track, Rainbow, was really good. That was a good listenable song.
But it was also the shortest as well. It was a condensed version of the prior 3 songs.
And that's I feel like the downfall, honestly. Downfall is a bit strong of a word, but like that's the one like negative thing is that some of the earlier tracks on this album overstay their welcome before they complete because they are very long and
three of the first tracks are like 10 to 15 minutes long, and all 3 of them after like maybe the 5 to 7 minute mark, I'm like, oh, okay, well, all right, what's new? And then it's just like more of the same, which is, you know, fine because I smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah, and also like I see these albums as like, you know, they're background music for what I'm doing, and I listen to them.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong,
vibe to this. I vibe to this.
Yeah,
and as the youngins might say, I vibe.
But when your background music becomes noticeable to a point where you're like, wow, I feel like that's happened a lot of times. Like, we're still on the same song. Okay. Yeah. Like, that's not a good feeling,
right.
You know?
Like, especially when you're like, oh, wow, has he been playing the exact same chord progression for 8 minutes now? And then he does like, you know, a cool rhythmic thing, but then he goes back to the exact same thing and you're like, no.
Maybe not as strong as that, but sure. Yeah, I mean, that is a way you can feel about it. And like, to that end, I guess I would say that I enjoyed this record, but like you said, it is on that short list of semi-forgettable Buckethead clean works.
It's Minor Head. Minor Head.
I would say that here's the thing. I think that like the best way to experience this album would be if you put on a playlist that was all just Buckethead's clean stuff, and like mellow stuff. And I think that within the context of that, like I feel like this material works, and I don't feel like any of it is offensive or bad in any way. But in the context of like what he's doing with the Pikes, right, where they're like this standalone piece of, you know, his art, it's a little bit less remarkable.
I mean, you know, it's kind of honestly like, in my opinion, like a lot of the same. Like, so when it comes to like his slow post rock work, like a lot of it is just like these descending chord patterns that are mostly like you know, for instance, like A minor, G major, F major, E minor kind of thing. And it's just it's like super melodic, but it's a lot of the exact same relative chords. And like it's non offensive, and it's musical, and it's melodic, and it's it's just like, I don't know, like a lot of it is like the same dun 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 dun, and then just a lead over that. I mean, you're right. And that can get a little repetitive. I don't think that he falls into that trap for the entire record, but definitely during some of the longer songs, like you notice it a little bit more. You know, and I don't know. You know, I think that I still think it's impressive that he's managed to put out this much music. Like we've listened to 48 of these albums now, and like they all do feel like little albums, and like that is really impressive. And you know, I'd say something to be said for that. This one does feel like one of the same 4 or 5 albums also in this Pikes series.
Sure.
But honestly, I don't know if I could make 50 albums and make, you know, even 10 of them sound different. And he's managed to do that, at least. I'd say he at least has 8 to 10 very different album structures at this point. And Rainy Days isn't my favorite one. It's one that has become almost predictable at this point. I feel like he's done it at least twice with the ones I mentioned, and probably a few more times, but I'm just not willing to go that far back into my notes. So this is probably like number 4 or 5 out of this very similar, like I don't know, I'd call it the Rainy Days canon, because Rainy Days I feel like actually really encapsulates this a lot. Like it's it's melodic, like minor dominant soloing, and just repetitive chord structures that are clean. Like a lot of he does a lot of things on A minor and its relative, a lot of things on E minor and its relative, a lot of things on B minor and its relative, and some things on C minor and its relative here and there. But you know, it's becoming predictable at this point, and I'm gonna say we're gonna see one of these albums out of every 10 to 20 albums. We're gonna get an album almost exactly like this.
I could see that for sure, and like I don't necessarily think that these are not welcome albums. I do enjoy them.
Unwelcome. No,
they're not unwelcome. But they're definitely of an ilk, like you said, and to that end, I don't think this is the best one of those. No. It is listenable, and I did think it was fine. But I would say this one's like, if you're listening through the Pikes and you're a big fan of his like mellow stuff, like listen to this one. Yeah. But if you don't care about the more mellow stuff, I don't think this one's essential.
Yeah. If you like Buckethead because of the weird music he makes, don't listen to this album. It's not that weird.
Yeah, it's not weird.
It's very accessible. It's nice. It's pleasant. It's not offensive, but it's also not exciting at any point.
Yeah.
And in as much like it doesn't tread a whole lot of new ground in Buckethead land, and so I'd say in the park, this is the music that just like plays in the restrooms. Like it's something you can take a nice dump to.
Yeah, totally. I took a shower while I was listening to it, and it was all right.
I hope you took a shit and a shower at the same time while listening to this.
Nice. That sounds good.
Does it? You ever done that? Like
no, I don't.
Everyone
think
pees in the shower. No one talks about when they take a shit in the shower.
Who does that? I don't do that.
That's gonna be my thing. Is just be like, what? You don't shit in the shower? What kind of fucking freak are you? Like, you fucking weirdo. Like,
that's a cool hill to a cool hill to die on. Like, totally.
It's running water, just like your toilet. Like, why don't you take like? You wake up, you get in the shower, you want to take a pee, right? You pee in the shower, right? Right?
Yeah.
Everyone pees in the shower.
Yeah. Do
you take a shit in the shower?
No.
Why not?
Because there's a lot more to deal with.
It's not. It's not for the water. Think about how water works. Like, it doesn't. Like your whole turd doesn't go down the drain at once. It like slowly degrades, and like the water beats it away, right? Like, like tears in rain.
All these turds are lost like tears in rain. That's the name of the episode, by the way.
That's the name of the episode. That's the first time I was going to call it. All these turds are lost like tears in rain. Is so good, dude. That's the one. That's the one. That's the first time we're calling it together, my brother.
That's pretty good. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so the second album we listened to was Roller Coaster Track Repair, Pike number 47.
Pike 47, March 1st, 2014, released the exact same day as Rainy Days, the aforementioned and previous Pike 46. Interesting factoid, brief bucket fact about this album. It's not the first Pike to get a physical release, but the very first Pike to get a release on vinyl.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay.
One of the very few. There's only been maybe like half a dozen Pikes released on vinyl, but this is one of them. And I'll be honest, I get why. This feels more to me like an actual Buckethead album than most any of the Pikes so far.
It is really something. And it is, interestingly, only 2 songs.
Track 1 and 2 are Room 7 and Room 12, respectively.
And I guess that does lead itself to being a vinyl release very easily, right? Because you have 2 side A,
and
side B.
They're kind of about the same length, so it totally makes sense.
And yeah, it is just like unrelenting shredding, like in a way that's like kind of rad, and like
it is straight up,
and a little bit different than what we've heard before. Like it's very much of the ilk of like a Buckethead shredding album, like a lot of like blah 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 blah, like a lot of like crazy sounding stuff. But
it actually sounds like a lot of Buckethead solo albums, like Monsters and Robots and stuff like that. Like,
and it is like there is some shredding on here, and really like impressive shredding. Like there were quite a few moments where I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the solos are super impressive, and also the backing tracks are also very interesting too. Which is why it made me feel like it was an actual Buckethead album, is because even though it's like 2 like 15-minute tracks basically, both of them feel like they could be segmented into more tracks. Given like they have like overlying leads that like make it so they have to kind of be 2 separate tracks and that's it. like there's very specific like alt metal parts, very thrashy parts, kind of death metal parts, like everything's segmented up pretty well. I feel like this album could easily be made into like 8 different tracks. But at the same time, I think it really actually does work as just 2 tracks. Yeah,
like it felt very listenable to me. Like it flowed very, very well, and I really enjoyed listening to it at the time. It's weird. It's Buckethead being weird. Well, okay, maybe not weird, but it's Buckethead being aggressive.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's very aggressive in both the leads and the rhythm parts. Like,
yeah, the rhythm parts are particularly like of note, and like that was what I think made me like it more than some of the other Buckethead shredding albums, because like there's just some really like chunky riffs in the background where I was like, okay,
not
like
just chunky
that's
riffs,
cool.
I feel like on this album especially, the chunky riffs are complemented very well by both the drum programming and the bass parts, who are presumably both played by Dan Monty. Like this album is chunky. Like there's some fucking grooves on here that I really get down with, and like the bass is fairly prominent, and the drums actually like have a role that's more than just rhythm backing the guitar.
Yeah,
and it's pretty dope. Like
pretty dope.
I dig this album more so than most of the metal Pikes we've heard so far. And it's especially for being 2 tracks. Like this one's a fucking banger. Like this one's a real one.
I would say worth listening to if you're 100%. Interested in the Pikes.
Yeah, like if you're interested, and not just if you're interested in Pikes, if you're interested in Buckethead albums, I would put this on the list as a good Buckethead album, like non-Pike. And that's the thing, is like if you just like Buckethead albums and you're like, yeah, I really like Enter the Chicken Coop and like Electric Tears, like I would maybe recommend you 5 Pikes so far, and this is going to be one of them. You know, it's a limited list, like 43, 13, this guy right here, Look Up There. That's about it. Maybe 4. You know. There's it's a pretty short list for Pikes that I think are actually not just good Pikes but good albums, and this is one of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. I liked it. And it was super aggressive. It did make me think of roller coasters, honestly. Like, it made me think of, like, dragon roller coasters, specifically.
Like the Dragon Wagon?
Yeah. You know, when the dragon's a wagon, don't come Bilbo Baggins.
Wow. When the dragon's a wagon, please come a faggin.
We can't say that. Or I guess I can't.
You can. Because you've never sucked a dick.
That's true.
And that's the thing, is like once you put a dick in your mouth, you can say the F word and not really give a fuck. Not really give a faggot.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I would say that this would be a good soundtrack for both the roller coasters and their respective repair crews.
Yeah, I would agree with that in a way. I'd say this doesn't go to a ride in Buckethead land.
Sure.
This is an album only the service people and janitors get to listen to in Buckethead land.
Wow.
While they smoke meth in their pickup trucks on their lunch break. A special fucking treat.
Yeah, meth is definitely legal in Buckethead land. The third Pike we listened to was Pike 48.
Hide in a pickling jar, or hide in the pickling jar, which is, I'm going to mention the release date of this because it was mentioned after both Pikes 46 and 47 for release. However, it was released 3 weeks before both of them on February 7th, 2014, whereas the aforementioned 2 were released on March 1st, 2014.
Interesting.
So this one, the gosh, the 7th anniversary of this will be about when we release this episode. Maybe actually on the day.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I liked this one. I thought it was cool. It was like Buckethead doing like a bluesier kind of thing.
Yeah, it was super bluesy, kind of southern. Yeah,
it reminded me of Primus a little bit in some parts. There was also some like doomy, sludgy riffing, which was cool. He brings back the fuzz pedal. Fuzz head returns, which was nice. I thought this one was actually like really cool and good. I liked it.
Yeah. So this one was really a return to Buckethead playing bass, or Dan Monty playing bass for Buckethead, and it being really prominent. But honestly, I think it was more Buckethead playing bass, to be honest. It was, I mean, super bluesy on the guitar part, but like when it came to the drums and the bass, it was very alt metal, very like kind of proggy and funky, but bluesy and a little southerny. Like actually very Les Claypool when Les Claypool's not busting out, you know? Like the musical sections Les Claypool has where he's like singing but not playing something crazy. Kind of reminded me of that. And as much like as kind of a almost bass centered album, because he played a lot of fucking bass on here, and he used like a lot of bass effects stuff. Like he did a lot of he used like a big bass synth and distortion, and all that reminded me a whole lot of Slunks 2 and 9, Empty Space and March of the Slunks. Like, it kind of fit very well into there. And it's something we haven't, I don't think, heard from The Head in a while. Like a bass album. And it was pretty dope.
Nice.
I dig it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was fun. It was, I am normally not hugely into the like funky, or not funky, but the like bluesier stuff, just because like in general I'm just not a fan of blues rock.
I know you're not.
Just not a thing I dig. And not to say that kind of music is bad, just not my vibe.
Right. Because like as long as you can like understand that like Stevie Ray Vaughan is one of the best guitarists ever, even if you don't like him, as long as you're like, well, yeah, he's fucking amazing. Like, you know, it's one of those things. It's just like, you know, I don't like, you know, like most prog metal. Although I realize, like, you know, Steve Vai is one of the best guitarists who's ever lived. I just think he's boring as fuck.
Me too.
Because
gentrified Buckethead, some might say.
I've seen all of his stuff, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, like I know people who could pull that off if they like really applied themselves. Like you could pull that off if you applied themselves, but you want to do cooler things, like be a shitbag and like
and do it like a 16 episode podcast about Buckethead.
Precisely. You're way cooler than Steve Vai in that way.
Clearly I'm vastly superior.
Steve Vai
huge brain
guest
time
on this podcast. Steve Vai is not cool. I'm gonna say this right now. Steve Vai is not cool enough to guest on this podcast. And after saying that, I'm going to reach out to his agent and manager and try to get him to guest on this podcast. And if he doesn't,
that would be amazing.
I'm going to be proven correct.
Stephen Vai, let's get him on here.
Stephen Viacom. The Sony Entertainment of playing guitar.
Yeah. I would say this one is recommended if you're listening to the Pikes. It's a good Pike. It's worth listening to. No, it's fun.
It's somewhere in the upper middle. I wouldn't. Totally. It's better than the majority, but not one of the best.
Yeah.
I'd put it maybe in the top 10 on a good day.
Yeah.
Probably more like in the top 20 at this point.
That's exactly what I would say too. Yeah. I would say that this one's like definitely one of the like the above average ones. It's worth listening to. But it's not I don't know. It's maybe not on my top 10, but it is good. Yeah. This one could be a soundtrack for a lot of different things. I would think like because of its like southern vibe, I think that it would be especially great paired with alligators, or you know, like that's a vibe, and it's alligator rock.
Alligator rock. Okay, so like maybe either like if they have like not a hungry hippos, but like remember that game with the angry alligators where you hit them.
So that's back
in the day. Yeah. Like if that was like an arcade game that would at Buckethead land, this would be.
Oh, this would definitely be the soundtrack for that.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah, it's good. A funky bluesy vibe to it, and as much if they have like a restaurant that serves like soul food,
or Cajun food.
Or Cajun food. Yeah. It's at Buckethead land. This is what's playing there all the time because it's like. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not too sludgy to where it's like. Oh, I don't know if I want these grits. I probably need to do heroin. Like a few of the albums.
Oh shit! Well, throwing shade at I Hate God now.
No, straight up. I mean, there's a couple albums that sound like Corrosion of Conformity or I Hate God, where I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I want grits or fucking straight opium at this point, dog.
Hell yeah.
And I'm sure Corrosion of Conformity and I Hate God don't know the difference either. But this one's a little more tame, a little less sludgy, but also very bluesy and southern. And so it definitely plays at the grits and fried chicken stand in Buckethead Land, which I mean, there's got to be a fried chicken stand at Buckethead Land, even though he's opposed to like KFC and their animal treatment. It's gotta be fried chicken, right? There has to be.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't really know. I'm not sure I really understand the bucket lore at this point.
Yeah, is he? And that's the thing too. Is like maybe this should be an entirely different conversation because you are yourself in this category. But do you think Buckethead is vegetarian or vegan?
I don't, and the reason why is because I have a friend who is vegetarian and asked Buckethead at one point if he was vegetarian. They like went and saw him live, and then like ran into him outside of the show, and was like, "Hey, are you vegetarian?" And he was like, "Nah."
Cool,
but like that is anecdotal, so I don't know. But that's my only known knowledge about that.
Interesting.
It is.
Gosh.
Gorsh, actually.
I just found something that I'm going to have to save for another...
A bucket fact?
Oh, God. I mean, it's far beyond a bucket fact. It's something we might need to have, like, entire, like, cast on in order to try to, like, curry favor in order to get this.
Yes.
Anyway. Those, there were 3 interesting pikes. I didn't dislike any of them. I liked all of them in different ways. I'd say Pike 46 was probably the weakest of the 3 because it's so easily comparable to several other pikes.
Yeah.
Pike 47, Roller Coaster Track Repair, in my opinion, the best of the 3. And honestly, one of the best pikes. One of the most Buckethead of all the pikes so far. Like it's out of every album, I'd say this one, maybe Pike 13, and maybe Look Up There sound the most like actual Buckethead albums so far.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I would say that my favorite of the 3 was probably Pike 48.
Really?
Simply because I don't know. Like as I mentioned earlier, like I don't typically dig like blues rock type stuff, but there were a few things on this record that I did really like. And the thing I liked the most about it overall, though, was just that it had a lot of energy and it kept going, and it was one of those pikes where it ended and I was like, oh wow, it's over. I thought this was going to keep going because like it was just like it felt good to listen to. And whenever I have an experience like that, like that's when I know it's a pike that I enjoyed. And I actually felt that way about both that and Pike 47. They were both ones that ended, and I was like, oh, dang, they're over. Because I really enjoyed listening to both of them. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to pick that one just because it's a little bit different, and I liked it. So last week, we debuted a new segment, and we're going to continue that this week. It's called Statements from the Bucket Boys.
Statements from the Bucket Boys.
Bucket Boys. You love to hear that, It really sells it. All right, so YouTube user Jim Moeller says, in regards to Pike 46, Rainy Days, he says, I want to visit that lighthouse, turn it into a huge speaker, and blaze the mighty bucket herd for all the world to hear. To hear,
okay. I get, I'm sorry, what's his name again?
Jim Moeller.
Jim Moeller. I get you, Jim Moeller. What I'd like to do with that lighthouse is I'd like to take the top off and turn it into a giant fucking bong.
Bucket bong.
Bucket bong.
Bucket bong. All right, YouTube user Arthur Labus says, too much bucket for my head. And YouTube user Smiley Face responds, Buckethead is God. Confirmed.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I see a lot of comments on things saying that like Buckethead is God, and that's I get it. I get like praising an artist you really like as a deity. Although I think we should really, as a society, maybe take a look at that and be like, nah, like especially with like self-proclaimed artists,
sure,
including like some of my favorites, the gods of metal, Manowar.
Oh, truly, yeah, they do consider themselves to be the gods of metal.
Truly metal. I've been listening to Words of Power with Joey DeMaio, his podcast.
Oh fuck! Do we need to make a podcast about his podcast?
It maybe at some point. I mean, you should listen to it.
I will.
If you have enough to say about it as I do, because it's like, I'll put it this way. It's literally all Joey DeMaio production posting. Like all of it's like, well, yeah, we want to go here, but they won't put up the money to put the production that we need, and they want to make too much money. They don't want to give enough to the band, and so we won't do it. And that's like that's at least like 10% of the podcast.
Does he ever talk about politics though? Like that's what I want to know.
He hasn't yet so far. He has only really talked about industry stuff. He talks so much about like producing the best metal show. One thing that I have definitely gathered is Joey DeMaio sincerely believes that like the Scorpions are the top of the game of what he's doing. Like,
interesting. Okay, I could see that.
He talks about his production in the terms of like, oh yeah. And he'll only mention it like once out of every like 3 or 4 times he's actually talking about production, but he's like, yeah, you want to get a good show like this band or the Scorpions, But like whenever he says the Scorpions, he definitely emphasizes it, and there's definitely a thing there.
I could see that.
Really into the Scorpions, but the Scorpions are like really big in like Russia,
and they're legendary. I mean, they're big everywhere. Yeah. Like they're like they're big in the US, but like they're huge everywhere else. They're huge.
Yes, they're super huge in Europe. And so,
like enormous. Like they're one of they still like play. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously not now, but like when in the before times, right? Like that band did very, very well.
Yeah, but you can tell like he also I think likes Kiss in a way, but he also realizes that they're
that they're the same fucking band. Like Manowar is Kiss. They're just like a different flavor.
They're like actually musically competent.
I mean, Kiss is musically competent.
Half of Kiss. Like Gene Simmons just sucks so much, And I think that's the thing that, like, Gene Simmons sucks.
I mean, hey, I'm just referencing the copy of Love Gun you bought me for my 17th birthday, but there's some banger songs on that record. So that's all I'm saying.
Didn't I? Wow. I did that to you, didn't I?
You did.
I did. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing that I did. That was an interesting decision for me to make, but that is a fucking...
You bought me another CD too, and I think they were both Kiss CDs. I think the other one was a live Kiss album.
Yeah, I think I bought you that in the live. Yeah. I think I was really into Kiss at that point. I'm like, you need to listen to a lot of Kiss.
But honestly, like that,
alive does kind of rule.
It's good.
Paul Stanley rules. Paul Stanley rules.
I mean, yeah,
Paul Stanley rules.
He's a great showman. Like, he has a great voice. Like, Kiss is a very like time and place kind of thing, and I feel like the film Detroit Rock City like really sells that whole like time and place aspect of Kiss. And that was what initially got me into Kiss. Like, I was not into Kiss before I saw that movie. I watched that movie and I was like, oh, I should listen to Kiss because, like, I feel like I understand why people liked this band. I feel like that movie added a lot of context to that band that I just didn't get before. Because, like, I remember seeing images of them as a kid and being like, what is this? This is weird and dumb. Yeah. Like, it didn't appeal to me. I didn't get it. I didn't know what it was about. But that film like connected a lot of the dots and like made it make sense to me in a way that made me like some of those songs growing up. Now, I was never huge about Kiss, but you know, they have some bangers.
Yeah, their first album is pretty good.
Yeah.
Destroyer is pretty good. Love Gun's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Paul Stanley.
I mean, they always had good singles, though. I mean, like, even in their 80s era, like, they had some good, like, Lick It Up is a meme, but it's a fucking great song. Like, it's fun. Like, it's stupid, also, like, but it's fun.
Detroit Rock City, even though Gene Simmons sings it, like, that song fucking rules.
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's great.
In a weird way. Like, it has a fucking real rock energy. It has an arena energy. Like, it's... Yeah. It's like something that feels like it needs to be played live, which is a cool feeling, you know?
100%. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Kiss stan. I mean, like, feel free to criticize Kiss. I don't care. But, you know, that being said, there are songs of theirs that I think are pretty good. And I you know, having read up on the history of that band, like, I definitely understand why they made the mark that they did. At that time, because they were doing something a little bit different.
You know? And their marketing was incredible. Like, they had an image, and that's the thing. That's honestly a thing about rock and roll is, like, as long as you're a competent band, if you have a unique new image, you're gonna like people connect with, you're gonna connect.
100%. YouTube user Manalumi Grimm says, what a shame most of the people don't listen to real music. I hope after puberty, all Gaga and Bieber fans get healed by Buckethead. Smiley face. YouTube user J Harp responds, I went through puberty 5 years ago listening to Gaga and Bieber, and now I only listen to Buckethead. How do you feel about that?
Whatever. I don't think like hormones have anything to do with
I know
Justin Bieber or Lady Gaga or Buckethead.
Right.
Like I'm not a big fan of Justin Bieber. Like he's a talented guy. I just don't really, like any of the thing he's produced on.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Gaga though, like makes good music. Like Lady Gaga is objectively incredibly fucking talented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Justin Bieber is very talented too. Not nearly as talented as Gaga though, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like that. If you don't believe me, just look up like Lady Gaga solo piano, and just watch her like sing alone while playing piano, and it'll blow your dick right out your asshole, 100%. Because she is every bit as talented as Buckethead. Straight up. In a very different way, though.
Sure.
Very different way, but in some of the same ways. I mean, she's a great dancer, like Buckethead. She is very technically talented in an instrument, the piano, like Buckethead. She has a very specific vision of what she wants to cultivate as an artist, like Buckethead. And, I think there are more similarities with Lady Gaga and Buckethead, definitely, than there are with, like, Justin Bieber, but more so within a lot of artists. Like, they are artistes. They are auteurs of what they're doing, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And I know people really have some strong feelings about Gaga. People talk to me about it at work a lot. And also apparently on Instagram, because I posted a thing a while ago where I was like, hey, what's your album of the year for 2020? What?
Chromatica.
Sorry, what?
Chromatica?
Oh, I posted a thing like a few weeks ago where I was like, hey, what's your album of the year for 2020? And like so many people were saying like Chromatica, and I was like, the fuck is that? So I Googled it, and it's apparently Lady Gaga's new album. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to that. So I haven't. But whatever. I mean, that's cool. I'm glad that people like that. And like that's something that people are enjoying. Like, cool. Apparently a lot of people have some pretty strong feelings on that, and that's cool. Yeah. So let's see here.
Yeah.
YouTube user Jason Rakowak says, track 1 sounds kind of like Jimmy Buckethead. So glad I found all these pikes.
Which album?
That was a reference to Pike number 46, Rainy Days.
That sounds like Jimmy Buckethead is what he said. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
It was like clean post-rocky, but...
Yeah, I don't see it at all either. I do really like the idea of Jimmy Buckethead, though. That's interesting to me.
I really dislike that. And we've talked about Jimmy Buffett before on this podcast.
Speaking of Margaritaville, have you heard about the new Margaritaville?
What do you mean?
Okay, so there's a new Margaritaville with an outdoor pool in Times Square in New York that's set to open during the pandemic.
Cool.
Yep.
Sounds like a cheeseburger in paradise to me.
Wonderful. YouTube user Jason33784 says, does anyone know if there were any fatalities or delimbings at Buckethead Land within the last year?
Well, I mean, so I believe it is known, or we've talked about it on the podcast before, but Buckethead did play on the soundtrack to the Mortal Kombat film.
Oh, yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With George Clinton, who apparently is not the other George Clinton that he played with, the one from Parliament in Parliament Funkadelic, but another George something Clinton who does soundtrack work.
Yes,
and,
yes.
But so he has definitely been involved in some fatalities at some point, or I believe
that is true, and delimbings, I guess I would say.
Yes,
yeah,
perhaps.
Yeah. So I feel like that's pretty strong evidence that we've definitely seen some decapitations in Buckethead Land.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we can safely say that one's answered. We know. All right. YouTube user Jason Go Forth says, hillbilly funk metal's always been me and Ma's favorite down on the chicken farm. Yeehaw. That's cool. That's good.
Is that for Pike 48, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that was for Pike 48.
Oh, wow. Okay. I just guessed that one. Yeah, it is pretty down home.
Yeah, pretty down home.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Lots of bass, lots of boom 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 boom. Sounds like a bayou. I have nothing to say to this. I don't know. I don't know what do I have to say to someone like that? Like someone who calls someone else mama. Like what do I have to say to them?
Yeah, let's hope they enjoy their moonshine.
Maybe like rock on, brother, and walk away.
Hell yeah.
That's probably the best thing to say.
Yeah. YouTube user Bad DNA says, no one loves Buckethead more than me. But YouTube user Tron Cohi 19 responds and says, I do. In preschool, we did this worm project, and I said I wanted my worm to go to Buckethead Land. I guess that's the answer. I mean, YouTube user Tron Cohi 19 is the biggest fan of Buckethead.
All right. You got anything to recommend to me, Spencer?
I'm not quite finished yet. Okay.
No, we're good. We're almost at 2 hours, so we got to wrap this fucker up.
We do, but I have one more statement from the Bucket Void that we're going to end with tonight. And that is YouTube user Brian Nelson says, I was lost until I found Buckethead. And YouTube user Boognish responded and said, Blumpkinhead.
So you know what Boognish is?
No.
You don't?
No, I've never heard that.
So we've talked about them on this podcast before, but the Boognish is the I guess like the figurehead and the symbol of the band Ween.
Oh, okay.
And so this is a Ween fan responding to this comment and giving you some Ween humor.
That is some Ween ass humor.
That is definitely some Ween ass humor.
Ween humor.
Ween humor.
Ween.
That was
Statements from the Bucket Boy.
Bucket Boy.
What do you got to recommend me, Spencer?
I'll tell you what I fucking don't recommend, and that is Clerks the Series.
So, fuck. Well, you took away my non-recommend.
Yeah, let's just like combine our recommendations and talk about how fucking bad Clerks the Series is.
Clerks the Series sucks.
It's terrible. Don't watch it.
Jason Mewes is surprisingly fantastic.
Yeah, he's actually good. Like everybody else is trash, but Jason Mewes is good.
Everyone else in the series sucks, and it's like, I mean, Kevin Smith obviously like produces it and like makes Silent Bob talk like all the time, and I'm like, wait,
my god,
what's the point of Silent Bob if he's not silent? He's just like.
So let me just lay something on you. Like
Bob.
This is something that frustrates me, like on an existential level. Like Kevin Smith created a character that in which he cast himself, and the purpose of the character is that it does not talk. Yet he cannot fucking resist giving the character lines and making him talk because Kevin Smith wants to fucking talk.
He can't help himself.
It's existentially infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to see it.
He's so self-important, and I don't understand. He's like, the problem is he's. I have so many feelings about it because he's like this. He's this no-brow, like working class, like I'm important guy, and like I feel like everyone is important in their own way, especially working class people. Uh-huh. But also, he just like makes student films. He's not actually working class. Like, he's so. I don't know how I feel about him.
Yeah. Well, we watched Clerks the Series the other day, and
we watched some of it.
Well, some of it. We watched the first two episodes. I guess it's
Jason Mewes, surprisingly charming. Everything else, unsurprisingly bad.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, that was why we watched it, but also, I wouldn't recommend watching it, even if you want to watch something that is bad.
Yuck. I mean, straight up yuck.
It isn't good. But it is also like bad, and that is funny in its own way. So
yeah.
In the second episode of that show, the main plot is that the characters are trapped in a walk-in refrigerator in which they could easily escape but are still trapped inside for some inexplicable cartoon reason, and it's not good. Frustrating.
Everything's not good and frustrating, Spencer.
Yeah, that is true.
But
except for Jay. Jay's good.
Jay's
Jay gets
good.
the Gettin Head a Buckethead podcast a mark of approval. He's okay.
He gets a collective snoochie boochies.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I love that.
So something I would highly recommend to you, and I know you're not an anime fag like I am.
Okay.
I mean, you're not a fag like I am, but I would highly recommend Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay.
It's an anime series. It's like
you mean Japanime? Isn't that what they call it? The weebs? That's what they call it, right? Japanime.
The Japanimation.
Japanimation. Okay, got it. Yeah.
The Japanimation show. Produced by Funimation. That's actually serious.
I know.
But it's based on I'm not even gonna
a manga. Is it based on a manga?
Every
Brit?
anime isn't it? That's what I was gonna say, but I'm like, why would I even say that? It's obvious, right? It always is. It's always based on a manga.
Manga.
But
manga is one of my favorite LaCroix flavors.
I prefer the hentai soda.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, it's really tasty. It tastes like daddy. Stepdaddy soda.
No.
So, in as much Tokyo Ghoul, fantastic series. I am almost done with it. I've watched like all of it in the last week. It's like 3 series long, but all of them only like 5 hours. Really weird, good, all about like cannibalism.
Okay.
And like one of the like pivotal characters in there is this fella named Skiyama, who is a gourmet who eats people but is like very gourmet about it, and he is the gayest character of anything I've ever seen, without at any point ever saying like, hey, this guy sucks a fucking penis. Like, he's just like, oh, really? Well, it's time to make a dish. He's just like, just way too extra to ever be heterosexual. Yeah, it's I really enjoy that character a lot, like so much. Like, you watched Hannibal, the series, yeah?
No.
Oh, you didn't? You should. Hannibal was so
I know,
good.
people like that show a lot.
Yeah, it was like super murdery and homoerotic.
Cool.
And cannibalistic. And like, honestly, like this character in Tokyo Ghoul, Skiyama, was almost like someone watched Hannibal and they're like, how can I take this like homoerotic cannibalism to the absolute limit?
Yeah.
And they did it, and it's really fucking good, dude. I've
heard that.
It's really good.
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
I started listening to a podcast that I think is pretty good.
What's that?
It's called QAnonymous.
Oh, I've listened to this. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, for the uninformed, it's about QAnon in the sense that it kind of follows like what those people believe and who the active like influencers in that scene are, and what kind of belief systems they are ascribing to and where those come from. It's pretty interesting in the sense that it is an analysis of a popular movement, but also it is making fun of these fucking idiots. So it's pretty great. I listened to a few episodes the other day. I was linked to an episode specifically because it featured Dave Anthony of The Dollop, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And
one of our favorite
one of our favorite one of the show's favorite podcasts.
One of the podcast favorite dollops.
Sorry?
One of the podcast's favorite dollops.
Excellent. Yeah, totally. 100%. I don't know. I really like the one about the guy that inherits all that money. Oh no, he didn't inherit the money. He's a lottery winner, and then he blows all his money on a bunch of stupid shit.
That's a good one.
That's also a great episode.
One about Kellogg, the cereal man.
Oh yeah, that one's really good. I also really the Ronald Reagan one is the one I typically recommend to people.
That's a two-parter, right?
Yeah. Because it's Reagan, so fucking amazing.
The Donald Trump one, the two-parter, is incredible. Yeah, The Dollop is just an incredibly well done, well researched podcast, much more professional than we'll ever be. They've got a much more researched host than I do, and a much funnier other man
than me. Yeah, of course, 100%. That said, though, so I listened to this show because Dave Anthony from The Dollop was on it. Was on an episode, and I listened to that episode. I liked it a lot. I listened to a few more. I liked those episodes a lot. It's really fun to listen to. It's cool to have a perspective on something like that that's so complete. It really tells you like where all this shit came from, like why it's happening. Who are the people that are spreading this, like all that sort of stuff. Like it's interesting to know. Like I feel very informed. It's cool.
It's good to be informed. Like even if we're fucking powerless to do anything about the current situations we find ourselves in. Mm-hmm. It's good to be informed, and honestly, like information is a form of power. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, and really, I would encourage anybody who feels safe to do whatever. If they feel powerless, to like go and find a protest that obviously like is informed by something they believe in, but there are protests happening all the time, and people who are trying to do something to better the world. Like there are there's a picket line you can go stand on almost all the time to represent some kind of worker.
That's always good to do.
If you're a worker, like you might always be able to find that. Yeah. This has been Britain, Ryan, Straw.
And this has been Spencer. You've been listening to Gettin' Head, a Bucketcast.
Stay greasy, Bucketheads.
Namaste.